why the volume level has just been turned up a notch. It's because Gloucester are doing their team run in front of the shed, and this is a tradition, as you will have seen over the years. Austin Healey, unfortunately, not taken as a casualty in that stampede. And because they've been playing, of this fixture list of 4 weeks, they've only got 1 game here at Kingston, so they're making the most of it. They actually trained here twice during the week, which they don't normally do. So interesting stuff, guys. Now, I think you've got some stuff you want to talk to us about in terms of crooked feeds, is that right?
Yeah, crooked feeds. There's a kebab shop over there. You may
right, we'll move off. We'll go to the kebabs. You do crooked feeds.
But basically, when I played rugby at scrum half, when you put the ball into the scrum, it was literally hooked out of your hands and gone through channel 1. The 8 picked it up and off you went. But now, there's no hooking, it's all fed, and it's really changed the context of the scrum, hasn't it, Ben?
It has, and part of that is the hookers have now become more of a pushing role than a hooking role. They're another member of the prop front rows. And what that means is they don't want their foot off the ground too long. And because you can get away with a feed, it's a little snap hook. And that means that it's much less accurate when it gets back towards the base of the scrum.
And exactly, when it gets to the base, that link between the 8 and 9 is really starting to be put under pressure, as we saw last week when Gloucester played against Wasps. So we have a little look. As we saw, the ball comes in, Ben, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a very quick, look at the speed of the hook. So he literally just takes his foot off the ground for a millisecond, and then it's back at the number 8's feet.
But what that means, yeah, it gets stuck in channel 3, it moves across, the second row ends up kicking it, it gets tangled up, but Robson, being an inexperienced 9, is too far away from the ball. He drops back. When the scrum's under pressure, he should be closer, but you can't question his commitment. As we saw throughout the game, he worked really hard to get all the way across and almost got there for the try. But, great finish by Wade, by the way. We've been joined by 7 guys from the Gloucester Knitting Club. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We're going to show you a few little differences in how the scrum has changed. Back in channel 1, when the hooker used to hook it down, the ball would come in, and it would come through this channel here. It would go through the prop's legs, in between the second row and the flanker, and it would be in the 8's hands, and he'd be away. My number 8, Ben Kay, away. If the 8 was pushing in the channel, it would go through channel 2. It would be, again, hooked and back and more controlled, and able to push and get more of a drive on. But as we're seeing now, the ball is being fed into channel 3. It's going all the way across through the channel. The hooker steps up, it's a fast hook, and it goes through there, which makes it more difficult at the base, doesn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it does, because it can get stuck at the second row's feet, because they're not allowed to look back at the ball. They're looking ahead to keep their body shape, and they can't step over the ball and lift their foot up, otherwise the scrum's going to go backwards. So it slows everything down. As we saw in that last clip, if you're then under pressure and they're coming back, the ball's getting kicked by the second row's feet coming backwards. And Callum Afoni, who's one of the most dangerous pickers and goers from the base of the scrum, he's suddenly trying to control the ball. It might squirt out. So if I was Worcester, I'd be getting Johnny R all over the number 8 from Gloucester and stop that really effective phase of play.
And as we saw with Robson last week, he came round, he gave the arse tap to come round and get the 8-9 pick to get going, but the scrum dismantled and he's too far away from the ball. He's got to get back to the base. Worcester will have seen that. They will put pressure on him there at the base, but I don't think Robson will make the same mistake twice. It's going to be a big contest at the base of the scrum tonight.
Thanks, Austin. Thanks, Ben. Now, look, the crooked feed, I mean, it gets people really exercised, the crooked feed, and how prevalent it seems to be in the modern game. Do you bemoan the lost art of the hook?
You know, I'm all for it being a pushing contest, you know, so I'm going to want that ball to come down the middle, you know, and push opposition off it, or, you know, and go forward. But, you know, with the way the game's played today, and people complaining here about collapse scrums and, balls getting dead at the scrum, you know, it gets it in and out. And I think that's why referees aren't picking up on it as much as, you know, they used to, is because they just want to see the ball played and carry on with the game and not fuss around with it.
You're not wanted back here. Clear off. We have a nice little chat on our own.
I thought I'd come in and join in about the scrum.
No more from you about scrums. Let's actually instead of hearing from you, hear from Nigel Davis, the DOR of Gloucester, who's also been having a chat with Sarah.